Well, you might recognize our next guest from the stage, the screen, or even the political sphere. You might even recognize her from her voice alone, since she's the voice of Rogue in the massively popular X-Men, the animated series.
She can now add author to her resume with her new memoir, A Rogue's Tale. We're thrilled to have Lenore Zann on the show. Lenore, welcome to the...
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Lenore, your career, my goodness, twists and turns, as we said off the top, from actor to politician to superhero as well. You've got a memoir out now, and what has been perhaps the most surprising twist in your own life?
Oh, well, I suppose, first of all, hello, Sugar. Nice to meet y'all. You know, probably the most surprising twist is coming back after 30 years to play a superhero for the second time. Most actors only get to do it once, if they're lucky, and I got to do it twice with 30 years in between.
Which is wild.
I know.
And, I mean, you know, I don't want to point out the obvious in the room, but you won recently this beautiful Astra Award, which, congratulations, this is an honor from your peers in Hollywood. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I just picked this up the hardware on Sunday night.
Congrats.
Got to do the acceptance speech on behalf of the entire team of the X-Men, and then jumped on a plane and threw it in my bag, and here we are.
Nice. Very nice. Congrats.
Yeah.
X-Men, the animated series, is one of the top two animated series of all time. So as you mentioned, it has been renewed for a sequel series, and you say your role as Rogue has been one of the most fulfilling of your lifetime. Why is that?
Because Rogue stands up for the underdog. She stands up for social justice. She's willing to put her own life on the line to save her friends, and for equality for all. And I think in this world right now where there's so much bigotry and hatred, I think that we need strong superhero characters, especially women, to stand up for others, and she does that.
It's amazing. You know, the popularity of Marvel, of the superhero genre as well, it's just exploded. So when you reflect on it over the last several decades that you've been voicing Rogue, what has changed the most for you, you think?
Well, the interesting thing is when the show was first pitched by Larry Houston, who was our original director, he took it to all the studios in Los Angeles, and every single one of them turned him down, saying, who's going to watch an animated series about superheroes? Well, so he then took it to one woman, and at that time, you know, there weren't very many female producers, and she was the president of Fox Kids Network, Margaret Lesh, and she said, I'll do it. I think this can be a big success. And here we are 30 years later, and we're back again. It goes to show you, you know, how much that genre has now become the mainstream.
And how important it is to have women in decision-making roles as
Absolutely,
well.
of course.
That part. Right. So you once played Marilyn Monroe on stage, and you draw a lot of comparisons with her throughout the book, including your own experience with addiction. You now have been sober for 28 years. Congratulations. So how has opening up about your own struggles helped with your recovery process?
Well, I think it's important to be able to talk about it. We like to say, you know, you're only as sick as your deepest secrets. And so for any kind of addiction issues, getting over the shame and, first of all, admitting to yourself that you have a problem, and then admitting it to others and asking for help, that is the turning point. And so I hope that in my book, by talking about it and telling people about my own journey, hopefully it will help others who might be struggling as well.
It's really, really powerful. You know, writing a memoir by definition is the practice of looking back and reflecting on one's life, and there's maybe this game of sliding doors. What if I would have said yes to this or said no to this? Including something you write about, which is being asked to be on Saturday Night Live, and you turned it down.
I did.
Well, why? And how do you reflect on that time now?
Well, you know, I was 22 at that time, and I had just played Marilyn Monroe in this big rock opera on the life of Marilyn Monroe. I was sort of a big name in Canadian theater. And I was offered to do a role for NBC called Love, Sydney was the name of the show, to play opposite Tony Randall. And I really, really wanted to do that role. And I signed contracts and things saying that I would. But then Lorne Michaels came to me and said, we just saw your screen test. We'd love to have you on Saturday Night Live. Would you come over to us instead? And I just said, I'm sorry, but I can't. I really, I'm loyal, and I've said yes to these other folks. In the end, the other show fell through, sadly. Oh. But, you know, and also years later, I look back and go, well, there was a lot of drugs on the set and around that whole period with Saturday Night Live, and I'm so glad in a way that I didn't, because I might be dead by now. You know, I could have fallen into that as John Belushi did.
Yeah.
You know?
In the book, you also open up about the harassment and sexual assault that you experienced as a young woman.
Yeah.
So revisiting that with the perspective that you have now, what sort of would you have told that younger version of yourself?
First of all, I would say it's not your fault. A lot of times we have a lot of shame around sexual assault, and we feel that it was something that we did, whether it was something we wore, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, trusting the wrong people. First of all, I would say be careful who you trust. I've learned that. I was very trusting, and now I'm a lot more careful. But the main lesson there is to not be ashamed of it, and to be able to actually reach out and get help if you're struggling, and also to admit it to someone else. I mean, it took me 30 years before I actually have admitted it in this book. Wow. And talked about it.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people know your name and realize you've been in and out of politics, both on the provincial and the federal level here in Canada as well.
Woohoo!
These are great shots. So let's talk about lessons that did you take any lessons from the entertainment industry into politics? I mean, we often say on this show, a lot of politics is theater.
Yes, absolutely. I like to say sometimes it's theater of the absurd. Right? But, you know, being an actor is great, because you get to put yourself in other people's shoes. You get to imagine what it's like to be someone. So it gives you great empathy for people, for constituents. So I can imagine what it's like to be a single mother of 5, struggling to make ends meet, living in a trailer park. And I can also imagine what it's like to be an entrepreneur with a successful business who's trying to expand that business and go global. So when I first ran for politics, people were like, well, what would she know? What would an actor know? I'm like, well, actually, we know quite a lot. We're smart, we do our research, and we care. We're kind, caring people. And I think that's what we need in politics today.
Amen.
Okay. So true. We only have a few seconds left, but we'd be remiss if we let you go without asking you, like, after going through this incredibly colorful life you've had, is there anything left to do that you have on your bucket list?
Well, I don't want to go to space. I don't want a rocket ship. But I would love to see my book turned into a film. I think it would make a great feature film. Yes.
Get it out there in the universe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I was going to say, also, people can watch for me in a new TV series called Revival, which is going to be on the Sci-Fi Network.
Amazing.
That's going to be starting, and that's a live action.
Great.
Very, very, very cool. Well, Lenore, you are just what a life you have lived, and thank you for writing all about it, and thank you for joining us today.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
It is called A Rogue's Tale. It's available everywhere now. And to the lucky members of our studio audience, you're going home with your copy today. Yes.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.